name is Tylluan. I'm a solitary pagan witch. I'm an author and the founder of the Wolf and Howl Press. Today's little chat I thought I would do about St Valentine's Day. How does it relate to pagans? Should pagans celebrate it? I mean, he was, after all, a martyr saint of the early Christian church. He was executed in about the 3rd century CE, I think, by the Emperor Claudius II. That's the usual story, although there are, in fact, in the church calendar, loads and loads of St Valentine's. It was a common name. Why do I have a problem with St Valentine's Day? 2 reasons, really. The one is because why would we celebrate a martyr saint, a man who died, was murdered? Why would we celebrate him as the patron saint of lovers and love? I mean, pagans and heathens, we're as entitled to fall in love as anybody else, and we do. So where does St Valentine fit into all of this? Well, basically, from what we know in the traditional sense, and I use that word very advisedly, but the usual story about St Valentine is that he used to marry Christians, and he was executed for this. And we could argue, well, yes, he is connected with love. He was enabling lovers to marry, and he died because he loved his faith so much he wouldn't give it up. But then again, you could argue, well, what about these poor women who were tried as witches in places like Lancashire or Salem? What about them? They died for what they were doing, what they believed in. What frustrates me a lot is that the general answer nowadays is, yes, but they weren't really witches. It was just a witch hysteria. Which is really having your cake and eating it, when you think about it. In other words, we're saying, yes, they were executed as witches, but they weren't really witches, so they don't deserve any extra special consideration as martyrs. But, to me, if St Valentine was a martyr, then so were these people. I'm not a great believer, I must say, I'm not a great believer in the burning times and, all the millions of people who were executed as witches, because actually, a lot of them were executed as heretics, which is a different thing altogether. Not much consolation to them, of course, but this is what we're talking about. So this is why I have a bit of a problem with St Valentine's Day. There is a Welsh saint, if you want to stick with saints' days, called St Dwynwen. She was a female saint of the 5th century. She was the daughter of a king, I think. And basically, she fell in love. The man she fell in love with wasn't a Christian, therefore she had to deny herself love, which is where my problem comes. My problem is, why should it matter? You love the person, not what they believe in. Hopefully, anyway, unless they're sort of psychopaths or mass murderers or something, I suppose. But she... Oh, you're going to love this story. He either attempted to attack her or he wouldn't give over about getting married, and she gave him a potion which an angel had given her, and it turned him to ice. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds almost as though it was some sort of pagan legend that was later adapted. Doesn't sound to me like Christian angels go round giving people potions to turn their boyfriends to ice. But anyway, poor old St Dwynwen was distraught. She prayed for 3 gifts, and one of these gifts was that he should be no longer a block of ice. And she went off and she became a hermit in North Wales till the end of her days. And there's another, she was in North Wales. In South Wales there was one called Adwenna, who is also known as a Cornish saint, St Adwenna, or St Adwen. And they don't know very much about her. They don't know much about her feast day or anything. St Dwynwen, I think, is the 26th of January. So it's all around the time of St Valentine. And we don't know anything really about St Adwen, except the fact her name is not unlike St Dwynwen, Adwen. But to me, the other problem, I said I had 2 problems, so I haven't finished yet. The other problem I have is the rather crass commercialisation of St Valentine's Day. And I do. I mean, I can't see any real connection with love and a teddy carrying a heart, or hearts on their own, which are even worse. I mean, they really freak me out. Why would you have a heart on its own? I expect it to start pulsating any minute. All right, you can say flowers, chocolates, bottle of wine, or what have you. You can say they're gifts. They're nice things to have. But some of it, I think, we have to watch then that we don't confuse love with all the tat that surrounds it. I think really we need to sort of see love in its own light. I mean, to me, love is one of the greatest things, one of the greatest gifts we can have presented to us, and one of the greatest gifts we can give to others. Unfortunately, it is often, what's the word? I was going to say disgraced, but that's not the word. What I mean is it's often disguised then. It's often presented to us in a form that really has very little to do with love, and either has a lot to do with religion or a lot to do with materialism, neither of which are really anything to do with love at all. Love just is. And one of my little sayings I came up with, and I don't know whether it's something I picked up from somewhere else or whether it's my own, but I always say that nothing's ever really lost and love goes on forever. So however you celebrate this coming period, whether it's late January or the early February, I'm a bit late for late January, poor old St Dwynwen, we've missed her, but however you celebrate it, just bear it in mind what you're celebrating. Don't fall for the crush, the mass sort of hysteria that goes on around it, as though if you're not giving somebody a giant heart or something, you're not doing your bit. So, as I say, nothing's ever really lost and love goes on forever. And thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.